Hello again, you sick, twisted weather freaks, and welcome to another edition of the Snowstorm podcast. Uh, this week in weather, it's been a while since I've done one of those because I've been doing the Snowstorm podcast, but a lot of people missed the opening and the beginning, so there you go. I just gave it for you. This is meteorologist DT from weatherrisk.com. We have two snowstorm events to talk about potentially here in the month of March after a very quiet and mild February, so let's get right to it. A lot to go through, so let's see if we can keep at a pretty good pace. All right. Here's the snowstorm matrix, and there are some changes here. Yeah, you can see those yellows, and you like big snows. That's what you want to see. And we notice here, of course, obviously we have two events. The first one is going to be March 7th into 8th. So it's kind of a crossover there. So I put this mostly in the March 7th, but a lot of this may go into March 8th. So the interior Northeast, it looks like a significant snowstorm. The Midwest, the northern half, moderate, some accumulating snow here. I-95, maybe a little bit, but not a lot. The one from March 6th, 7th, or 7th and 8th is mostly a rain event for most of I-95, not all of it, most of it. Then nothing going on in here in the middle period, and then the one for 12th and 13th, and that's got some potential for the Ohio Valley, maybe, especially the eastern portions, interior Northeast, and maybe even moderate snow for I-95. Could be more than that. We'll have to wait and see, but that's how I'm calling it right now. So one of the other point I want to break out here is that, we have had three events here now. We had the one on March 2nd. We have this one coming up March 7th and 8th, and March 12th and 13th. And a lot of times you get complaints that extended forecasting is not very good, and sometimes it's not. I mean, sometimes it just blows, so we're just wrong. But sometimes when the pattern is locked in, you can see the big events coming a long ways away. And this, whether it's a heat wave or whether it's a hurricane for the Gulf of Mexico or the East Coast, or whether it's a snowstorm and a winter pattern, when the pattern is locked in, you can see events, big events, many days out in time. We're at that point now in the forecasting. So for the March 2nd event, I and many others, not just me, but many other forecasters, if you follow us on social media or on our websites or on Twitter, began talking about this event back in the middle of February. The March 7th and 8th event, I first started talking about on my Facebook page and my Twitter and the newsletter on February 22nd and February 24th. Now, originally I thought it was going to be March 6th or 7th. So, but still, you can see it way out. And then March 12th and 13th threat, I began talking about on February 28th on the website, the Facebook page, and on the newsletter. So you can see these big events coming out a long way in time when the pattern locks in. Now, sometimes the pattern is crap and you can't see it. So it's, things disappear, they go away, it's not a big deal. We've had a lot of that this winter as well, but sometimes you can. Okay. February, so here we have March 7th and 8th. We have two events coming up, and then March 12th and 13th. So let's focus on the first event, March 7th and 8th. Now, this is the overall pattern here. Now, this is the data from yesterday, but it still shows you with the overall block. Now, this is the block which came in from Greenland and Scandinavia. And this is the feature which caused Europe to become brutally cold and bring the heavy snow to portions of England and to northern Europe and so on and so forth. Even the snow into Rome we saw last week. This feature has come all the way in from Scandinavia, United Kingdom, and now it's centered over eastern Canada. So this is a classic negative NAO, what's known as a western-based NAO, no doubt about that. And there it is, causing the trough to drop southward. Now the problem is that the west coast pattern is not great. We don't have a big ridge here on the west coast. It's a very moderate ridge, and that's a problem. That's what's restricting the cold air. So the Atlantic side of the equation, if we could draw a line here, I call it my marker, you can see it nicely. If we could draw a line, the Atlantic side of the equation is looking great. The Pacific side, no, just not as good. So there you go. So that's the important feature here. Okay, so let's follow how the pattern evolves. Now this shows us the European here as I guess Jersey Sunday morning, and again, very clearly two distinct types of weather patterns at war here. And this explains why the winter has been at times extremely cold and times extremely warm. There it is. Now, look what we have on the Atlantic side. We have a huge block here. We have the 50-50 low right here. This system's moving up to southeastern Canada. And there's our next impulse coming in over the ridge like this. Okay, but on the Atlantic side, on the Pacific side, we have a huge trough on the west coast. That just blows because that means you're not getting any cold air into the eastern U.S. And another system coming in this way. So very split pattern, very schizophrenic pattern here. Okay. Now, let's go next. This is slide. This is 60 hours. Now, this is the system developing for the 7th of the 8th. And we can see our blocking feature very nicely right here. Here's the blocking feature. There's our 50-50 low, southeastern Canada, and this system is forced to go underneath it where it's going to become a big East Coast winter storm again. And there's the next trough coming in into the Pacific Ocean, from the Pacific into the West Coast. So very clearly, very obvious pattern here. And really, what really stands out here is this enormous block here in the jet stream. You can see it right in this whole area, and here, and here, and here, all different blocks of it. All right, now as we go beyond this, this is 108 hours. There's a storm forming underneath the block. Very clearly, here's the block. You can see it. And here's the low pressure area right here forming. So this is sliding underneath it. That's what the blocking feature does. But there's the next feature coming in for the Pacific Ocean. Again, we don't have a big ridge on the West Coast. So we're getting very moderate cold air coming in. That's not what we need. In March in the Mid-Atlantic, you need a big supply of cold air, not ordinary. So while this is okay for New England and maybe New York City, New York State, if you're in the Mid-Atlantic region or portions of the Ohio Valley, the Tennessee Valley, that ridge on the West Coast is not good enough. It just isn't. So that's kind of what the problem is. So again, great Atlantic, shitty Pacific. Now after that blows on through, the pattern seems to relax, but we can clearly see, now this is the 9th, we have this big upper low here over southeastern Canada and a huge block. The negative NEO is still right, the negative NEO is still right there. So that means energy coming in this way is going to have to dive down again underneath it. Okay, so that sets up the next event, which is the one for March 12th or 13th. Now, what's important to notice here is that, look at this. We finally get a ridge on the West Coast. Yay! And as a result, the trough comes in much stronger on the European ensemble than it does the operational one. Now, the operational one, which we'll see in a minute, has this low going up this way. Okay, so it's all rain on the East Coast. But the ensemble, as you can clearly see here, it's got a much bigger ridge on the West Coast. And as a result, the system digs down. Here's the blocking feature. All right, so this has got much more potential to bring snow even to the Mid-Atlantic region on March 12th or 13th. And if we go beyond that, look at the ridge now at 200. Oh my God, March 12th. Look at this thing. Where did this come from? I mean, good googly moogly. This is damn nice. All right, yay. Okay, there we go. Go U.S. Navy. What can I tell you? There's a big trough in the west, over in the Eastern Pacific, which was what pops the ridge here, and that of course sends the trough in. So this causes this, which causes this, and there's your blocking feature. That's a nice looking snowstorm map, folks. That's nice. That does not suck. All right, let's talk about March 7th or 8th. The first one coming up here. Now this is the data from yesterday. Okay, this is Saturday. Oops. This is Saturday. I just want to show you, get consistency here. This is the operational GFS, very nice low here, and you can see it here bombing out 987. Now, is it going to get as strong as the one we had on Saturday? On Friday, March 2nd? I don't know yet, but it's pretty significant. So, and also given the damage that the coast has taken here on Jersey, Long Island, and New England, I don't know if it doesn't have to be as strong as that, as what we saw on Friday. This was the European, same sort of thing, develops into a very nice area of low pressure, again, around 990, 985 millibars. And you can see also the European implying there's a snowstorm for New York City, maybe New Jersey, and New England. And this is what the data was showing yesterday. Again, this was Saturday. And you can see big snow for New England and moderate snow to New Jersey, maybe Philly, New York City, but really New England interior gets hammered. And the GFS was showing the same sort of thing. More snow for New York City and some decent accumulating snow to the Pennsylvania-Maryland border, but mostly this is a Poconos, northern New Jersey, New York State, and New England type of thing. Notice Boston gets screwed again because they're getting those east winds. Both of these models have the Boston not getting the big snow. Okay, that was yesterday's data. All right, now this here is the 12Z GFS, just came out this here Sunday morning, and we can clearly see the low is here, the primary low, the secondary low is taken over. But again, look at the southeast winds. We have no big high to the north at all. I mean, there's one up here, but it's just not getting the job done. We have this is taking over, and we're getting a southeast wind, so it's raining for everybody over the Mid-Atlantic region at the start of the event anyway. And then if we go to 12Z, again, this takes us now to Wednesday night. The lows moved off the coast. The winds have turned northerly a little bit, and New York City is getting hammered with heavy snow. So is Jersey, so is Philly for a period here. But look at Boston still getting that southeast wind. Ugh, just not great. Now, usually, again, New England, the coast sticks out here. So when you get these coastal lows, sometimes they can get slammed. But when the low is close to the coast like that, that's a lot of rain for eastern New England. And there it is. Look at the rains. Look at the line going in like this. Now, again, this is what we saw on March 2nd. Remember when New York City and New Jersey and Philly was getting the snow, but Boston did not, in Connecticut? Same sort of thing. 987 millibars, so it might get down to 980, 984. That's a pretty significant nor'easter. Not as severe as what we saw on Friday, but not too shabby, Abby. And to show you how this happens, this is a European model. This is the 0Z European Sunday. So again, this was the 0Z on Sunday, okay? And here's the primary low, and the secondary low is beginning to form here. There's an approximation of the rain snow line. And again, we have a high here, no big high to the north. We don't see that at all. The high is way out here in Montana. That doesn't do anybody any good. And then beyond that, this is how it begins to develop. Now, this is Wednesday afternoon, and you can see the coastal low taking over, and it pulls the rain snow line south off the coast. So maybe Jersey's getting snow, maybe Philly. The European implies, you could say maybe DC, but when you look at the details, it's not really for DC or Northern Virginia. And then the system takes off. So if we look at it more detail, this is a Wednesday morning. And the 0850 line, which is your rain snow line, you can see that very nicely here. So if this was February or January, this could be snow up in here. But this is all rain down in eastern Virginia, the lows off the coast. And the 32-degree line, the temperature is here. So you usually want to get these two lines fairly close to each other. So maybe some snow in DC to start, Northern Virginia, maybe. Central and southern New Jersey. And then this is the system. Now this is Wednesday night. The lows moved off the coast. You can clearly see the low pressure area right here. And here's the 850 line off the coast. The 32-degree line is close to New York City. So New York City is getting snow. Jersey's getting snow. Philly's probably getting snow. I don't know about Boston. You notice the line jumps up here. Connecticut, I don't know about that. And then as it gets off the coast here. And this is now this is what Wednesday. This is the Thursday morning 1 a.m. Now Boston's all snow, and Boston could be getting heavy snow at this point. Boston could be getting slammed. The snow shut down in New York City, over in Jersey. Connecticut's getting slammed. New Hampshire's getting slammed. Southern Maine's getting slammed. Very nice snowstorm. And this has support. This is the European ensemble from this morning. You can see it's got two low pressure areas. By the way, this is March 2nd. That's the one on March 2nd. This is one here, and this is one here. So this is the primary jumping over to the coast here. And the ensemble, European ensemble, shows it very nicely. Boom. And you can see the greens getting down into around 990, 986 millibars. Very closely, very nice there. Lows developing an ideal position for a New England snowstorm. Now this here is the this is the European. Let me change images here. Oops, got to clear that out. This here is the GFS ensemble from 0Z, and Sunday morning, and we can see a very close agreement with the European. So we have high confidence that this event's going to happen. There's the first low. There's the second low. They all consolidate here off the Delmarva coast. The GFS, notice the GFS does have it closer to the coast, which is why Boston and eastern New England gets that rain at first. So that is one difference. So let's take a look at that again. Let's look here, and then let's look here. You see the difference between that and that? So there is some difference where the low sets up. So that's going to be an important feature to take a look at as we get into these short range models here. And then as it gets off the coast, now it's off the coast, boom, and now it's gone over to snow for New England and New York City, and everybody's getting hammered. And sure enough, here's the snow maps on the GFS. This is the 0Z Sunday run. Notice Boston, southeast New England, not a lot of snow out of this. New York City, some accumulating snow, but all the big snow again wraps into Philly. Look at that, just to the north and west of Philly and New Jersey again up in here. That looks very similar like we saw on March 2nd, doesn't it? Yeah, it kind of does. And the Poconos gets hit. Okay, and then if we look at the updated snow map, this is, I believe, 12Z, same sort of thing. Look at Boston and eastern New England, getting screwed here again. So if you're in Boston, you need this system to come out off the coast much faster. If it hugs the coast like that, it's going to give you an east wind. Now, this isn't in stone. It's possible this could change, but if you're in eastern New England, do not count on a big snow here based upon the current data. This is not looking good for you. Connecticut, yeah. Central Massachusetts, okay. New Hampshire, Vermont, that looks great. New York City, on the edge. Could accumulating snow in New York City, whether it's going to be 4 inches or 8 inches or 10, I don't know that yet. Philly, yeah. So again, the snow's wrapping around this way behind the system. You can clearly see that. So like Allentown, yeah, baby. Okay, Poconos. Now in this one, the projections, notice it shifts the big snow east of the Poconos. I don't know if that's true or not. That could be model variance, something to watch out for. This is the GFS ensemble from 6Z ensemble snow map, and you can see again, look at Boston, the ensemble not giving Boston or New York City a big snow. Inland, just inland, but Philly, boom, wraps that snow into Philly, Lehigh Valley, North Jersey. Yeah, that looks like a good solid 4 to 8, maybe a few 9-inch snows in there. Catskills, Adirondacks, interior New England, northwest half of Connecticut, boom. Yeah, it looks good for you guys. Okay. Now, if we look at the European, this is the 0Z, European from Sunday night, and this is valid total. The event's over now, the morning of March 9th. And you can see it does not have big snow in Philadelphia right now. It does not, where the other model GFS does. So that's one difference. Also, it's got less snow in the Poconos. It has accumulating snow in New York, not a lot, but clearly the big snow on the European, this is the operational run, is up here, up in Maine. So, the ensemble has more snow than that. So that you want to keep that in mind. Okay, let's go on to March 12th and 13th. One other thing about this here. When we get to the 12Z run, when we get to the 12Z European, I'm sure it's going to have more snow in this whole area. So let's just see if that's right. We'll see. Okay, now let's go to March 12th and 13th. Here's the upper map to the mean 500 millibar pattern for the 5-day interval for this event. You can see the massive block over here, the deep trough. Again, this is from yesterday, but it's still valid. Now, the operational run, this is the 0Z Sunday run. So let me call it my marker so you can put this out. Again, this is 0Z Sunday, all right? Not the new one. So this is, the first low is here, the second low is here. This is just a mess. The rain snow line is up here. Everybody's getting southeast wind. The huge primary low might bring snow to Chicago and Des Moines and Kansas City. But again, that's the operational run. So this is the operational 0Z Sunday, Sunday European. And the primary low takes over way too late. This is just rain for everybody on the East Coast. That's a disaster. But as you'll see, the ensemble mean is vastly different. That's what it looks like at the surface. You can see more of it. I mean, unless you have a gargantuan Arctic high right here, this is all rain. The secondary low is way too weak. The primary low is 988 millibars, for Pete's sake, over the boot heel. It's going up in this direction. That's what the model is showing. Now, that's wrong because of the blocking pattern here, but that's what it's trying to do, the operational run. And the difference is this. Now, this is very different from that. Very different. First of all, the block is much stronger than the ensemble mean. That's the first feature right here. Second, we have a much bigger ridge on the West Coast. And the trough is much deeper here. So to show you the difference, look on the West Coast here for a second. Much stronger ridge, as you can see, and a much stronger block. And as a result, the low is going to be centered probably somewhere over here. Okay, let's see if that actually works out. Yep, there it is, the European ensemble mean. The lows, like I said, over Virginia, Southeast Virginia, Eastern North Carolina, maybe off the coast at this point, and then it goes to Cape Cod. So this is a very good classic East Coast snowstorm track. And again, if this is January, February, I'd be honking like a son of a bitch, but it's not. So we have to keep that in mind, and we don't have a gargantuan Arctic high in place. But that's a pretty good track for a snowstorm, for the Mid-Atlantic, especially just inland Mid-Atlantic. And if you look at the ensemble mean, you can see the plots here. Again, much further to the south. Some of the lows are still out here, so it's still out in this area, but most of them are over here. So that's a step towards the coastal solution. And interestingly enough, this is the GFS. This is the 6Z GFS. Look where it's got the low. Boom! Now that's a nice snowstorm track for the Mid-Atlantic. Everybody except for Southeast Virginia, East and North Carolina would get snow out of that, if that's correct. And the high is in Minnesota. You can see it. The high is centered right here. That's not bad. That's not bad. It's the GFS, the 6Z. I'm not a great fan of it, but we'll see. Again, it does have some support. And this here is the 12Z GFS. And now this is interesting. The lows here, so the rain snow line on this is just south of DC down to Charlottesville. So Richmond will probably be rain, Norfolk's rain, Raleigh's rain, Salisbury's rain, southern New Jersey rain. But the interior, yeah, the Shenandoah Valley, that's a big snowstorm for you guys if that's right. And then if we go here, again, 12Z GFS. Now it goes over to snow. It does go over to snow in DC, it does go over to snow in Richmond. Okay, but it's still snowing in the Delmarva, southern New Jersey, and Norfolk. But the big snows in Poconos, Allentown, DC, Hagerstown, everybody getting hammered. Northern Virginia up into northern New Jersey. New York City still rain. And then it moves off the coast. New York City again. That rain snow line very close on the GFS, right to New York City. Boston getting screwed again in all of these events. That's hard to believe, but maybe it's going to happen. And then the low, again, we don't have the big high to the north, and that's kind of the problem. So the snow wraps in this way. So we'll see if that happens. That's been a trend with all of these storms. The miles are clearly showing the snow doing that. And if we look at the GFS ensemble, yeah, the 12Z, this is the 0Z run off the coast. You can see that very nice. And then the 12Z run also supporting this. Now, again, it does have a few members out here in the Ohio Valley, but the vast cluster is over here, which is a pretty good snowstorm track for the Mid-Atlantic region, especially the interior. So it's possible that the March 12th, 13th event, I might be bringing out the snow dog one last time. Woof, woof. This is meteorologist DT from weatherist.com. I'll talk to you soon on the Facebook page and on the Twitter account.